legs are standing still. It's like you're stuck in a nightmare, but you keep doing it for the thrill. Well, this is reality, you only live it once, so wake up from your dream. But just for tonight, let the lines get blurred, let your thoughts be free, let your thoughts be free.
Yeah, good evening everybody and welcome to Elite FPL Saturday Night Reaction stream where myself and Ray will be talking about today's games or all the Premier League action, how it's affected our FPL team and of course all the ramifications of what's actually happened today. And I'm going to stop saying today. I'm going to use Ash's words from FPL Juice, which is make sure you are hitting the subscribe button and like button if you are enjoying the stream or enjoy the content that myself and Ray or Jason are bringing you. Good evening, Ray.
Hi, Sibo. Hi, everyone. When you said to quote Ash, I thought you were going to say, "Can you dig it, sucker?"
Yeah, you know, listening in to Juice today from Tuesday's episode, I've told him to his face, I've said it live on air, I cannot get my head around the fact that him and Nick are the Michael Cole and Booker T of the 2011 WWE era. It's frightening, to be honest with you, because you've got Ash, who is just... What?
Shucky ducky quack.
Hell, do you remember? What the? That's all he does. That's all Ash does. Bro, what the hell are you, bro? Yeah, that's all Ash does.
Now can you dig that?
Any time someone comes off a ladder, oh my goodness.
Michael Cole.
My favourite one with Booker T was when this is going to be me doing something mental now. He was just going, well, you know, Michael Cole, it's one of them, Michael Cole. Well, look, Michael Cole, the thing with CM Punk, Michael Cole, it just kept going on and on about Michael fucking Cole. And I was just there wanting to clip it constantly for X and just upload the absurd nature of Booker T in WWE when he came in as an announcer. It is the funniest. Even when I saw him in the 2006 Royal Rumble that I watched the other day, and just him coming out and just going, my God. Or when he used to constantly keep going, Tamina.
Yeah.
Any woman which would be actually, you know, normally black, it would just be just fucking mental. And yeah, this is an FP. No, this is a WWE stream. I was watching actually, funny enough, the 2015 Royal Rumble raid. Do you remember this? Where Roman Reigns won his first Royal Rumble.
Roman Reigns won his... Oh my God. Where Corporate Kane with the slacks and Big Show were eliminating everyone's favourites.
Yep.
And then The Rock came in at the end.
Do you remember the triple threat match beforehand? With Lesnar, Seth Rollins and John Cena?
Yes, I did. Brilliant. I found it brilliant.
Yeah. No, I've seen it now 3 or 4 times, and it is absolutely phenomenal. It's genuinely worth going out your way and watching that. Any WWE fans out there, now it's on Netflix. You can now go on Netflix and check out Royal Rumble 2015, that triple threat match. And I'll tell you what, Ray, what really impressed me was Bray Wyatt in the Royal Rumble. Incredible. That version of Bray Wyatt was superb. Anyhow, on to today's football. I've just seen those pieces of shit Everton have beaten Crystal Palace, which makes me laugh because Jason, of course, has David Moyes as his assistant manager, and he's lucked out. Jason has today. He really has lucked out with the assistant manager. I don't know how many places are Crystal Palace above. I'm going to check now. They are... Oh, only what? They're not even... In fact, they go above them now. No, they don't. They're on joint points. How many... Where was Everton before today's game? Does anybody know? Do you know, Ray?
15th.
They were 15th. So, okay. So there wasn't... Oh, so he's not going to get He's not going to get the... As if it's... What is it? 5 places above, isn't it? They get points for... I can check now.
It wasn't 5 points above. Yeah, it was...
yeah, something like that.
3.
And the fact that the fact that Aston Villa didn't win today, Ray, as well, is an absolute piss take.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously we've got Emre as our manager, and you're expecting that to get the win, get out of the way, get that done, happy day. So David Moyes is going to get 6 points for the victory, another 2 points, so that's 8, and then table bonus for a win.
Just at 8 points.
So he's getting the 8 points, whereas Emre get 4.
Ridiculous.
That's a joke. Joked on X. The fact that I've completely forgotten my point. It's brilliant, isn't it? The fact that I can't even bloody remember now. Just quickly.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
On my throat.
Just do that.
Tamina.
It will clear your throat immediately. Zelta Ghoul said, "I love wrestlers in the 80s." With curry sauce and chips. Yeah, watch 80s wrestling now.
Jesus.
It is absolutely pants. It's not very particularly great. Roberto's here, good evening. In fact, I'm going to say to you now, Ray, you want to do that? You were the one that suggested it, even though I was going to be doing it anyway. But you're going to be joining us for this watch-along, aren't you, for the 26th of February, for the midweek fixtures? You'll be covering Arsenal.
Yes, sir. That's when it's Forest and Arsenal, isn't it, Steve-O?
Yeah.
In that day. So, yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it, doing a watch-along. Hoping to see Roberto there. I can show him a thing or two on how to actually commentate. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
No. Roberto was one of the few decent ones. I think if you're referring to Nick or maybe Trigger Lips or even Gary.
Unlike Nick, I actually pay for my own Wi-Fi. I don't try and get the one across the road.
If we slagged off tonight, then that's Nick, Ash. Who else should we slag off tonight?
Content creators.
Do you know what's ironic is that I've actually had not such a bad game week so far, to be fair. On 36 points, I'm going to get the biggest upside from me, would you believe, is Flecken. The biggest bonus points for me were Flecken and the double Arsenal clean sheet, Ray. Extraordinary.
Absolutely. So at the moment, we are on 41 minus 4.
We. Remember, it's we.
It is we, sir. So live rank at the moment, just under 1.4 million. So there's been about a 8% rise. So, in 17 months, we'll be number 1.
Yeah. Actually, talking of, thank you to Alex Volo for the thumb there with his sarcastic
Yes.
bit there, an ode to Ray being the FPL champion, ? And certainly with my team, when I was at one of the wings and listening into Mark Goldbridge, and he heard the news about Ahmad being out for the season, he couldn't believe it, and I just was like, "You are what? Just fuck off!" And especially Ray, 2 minutes prior to that. Actually, no, that's had a lie. Like 20, 30 minutes prior to that, finding out that Visser had scored and then it had been disallowed. He was our first substitute coming off, and now, Ahmed's not going to play, and we're going to get a whopping 2 points off the bloody bench. It's just like, come on.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's a conversation if we have time later on, but these players are just being completely run to the ground with the schedule. And also, when you look at a team like Man United, and I'm sure you're going to want to ask a bit about the Arsenal game, there's just no real solid rotation. They're all playing every minute of every single game, especially the best players. So Ahmad, unfortunately, getting injured. I haven't really read into what type of injury or anything like that, but it's just, it seems inevitable at the moment. If you don't rotate your team properly, you're suffering, and especially with someone like Ahmad, who is their best attacker, in my opinion. Is that really?
And it was a prime.
I don't know how they're going to create opportunities tomorrow. It's a prime fixture for him. Yeah.
Man United actually do quite well away from home. What did you personally predict for that game?
I think I went 2-1 Spurs after the news about Ahmad.
Yeah, I'm going to change my prediction. I mean, the Metro went 3-3. That won't be happening now. I think just copy you, fuck it. 2-1 to Spurs, do that, get that out of the way, happy days, move on. And this team is, as we keep discussing to death on voice messaging, this team it just seems to be something from God himself. Like, forget the FPL God, I'm talking about the actual God. It's just gone, you know what, fuck you. I don't want you doing well at this game whatsoever. And anytime we're going to give you a reprieve, I'm going to slap it back in your face, because anything we seem to do, Ray, just seems to kind of... anything logical we do seems to just backfire.
I think so. And then you toss in when a double here or there comes in from Newcastle out of nowhere. I have to genuinely almost daily think about, all right, what kind of strategy could we do moving forward now? Like, I was thinking a lot about wildcard 29, and maybe that's not actually the right play, Steve. It might have to be 31 or something like that, setting up for what seems to be a lot of doubles in 33, quite likely is what I've seen. Of course, 32, Palace and Newcastle, I believe, got doubles. So, but again, every time I do look at the team, I mean, I joked with you, didn't I? I sent you a voice note when you said, "Oh, you should hire Ray," and I looked at Jason's team, and I thought that team needs a lot of work, I feel. But then when I look at our team, I'm looking at it and thinking, I pretty much like all the players. I like the fixtures we've attacked. I like that we brought in these players early. But if and when they do return big, it's normally when they've already kind of become popular assets. Like, for example, Watkins, he just hasn't really performed well this season, has he? He doesn't look... he's never really been a potent striker, in my opinion. He's not a great finisher.
Yeah,
but
I agree with that.
He got his goal today, great. But I'm like, Ipswich, 10 men. It's like, that's the opportunity, man, to really, go quids in with them. But I just, all I can keep thinking is, okay, we'll make these moves. Okay, it was a risk to take out Isak. He hasn't really returned. I took out Isak in Telegraph as well. It's worked out so far in a couple of weeks. But I'm like, hey, man, Watkins, Gakpo, fucking do something. You know what I mean? Like, Hall, do something. You should do that for these creative teams. But yeah, it's not happening, Steve. And then when I look at the mod league, we're 44 points off Dread. It's kind of, we're in that middle zone at the moment. No one can catch us, and we can't catch anyone at the moment. But again, there's a lot of game weeks left. We've got a lot of chips left to play, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of permutations as well. But it does feel like a season where the chips, mind the pun, haven't fallen into place, have they?
Yeah, I am happy still to be, ironically, owning the Aston Villa assets against the likes of Liverpool and Chelsea, because they usually seem to do quite well in these big games, don't they, Ray? Especially at home.
Yeah, agree. I mean, if you ask me right now, Ray, what do you think will happen with the Villa Liverpool game? I'm going to go for a draw.
That's what I was thinking. 2-2, maybe even like a 3-2 either way.
1-1, 2-2, something like that. I think when Villa play, when they're going to play Liverpool, when they're going to play Chelsea, I think they'll beat Chelsea. But I agree with you. When they play top teams, even away from home, but especially at home, and because they're a good team now, Asensio has got so much quality. He played so well when he came on today. And Rashford, of course, I'm sure at some point will explode during the season because he's got a proper manager who'll know how to manage him and say, look, you got to do this or you can fuck right off. Is that I do fancy Aston Villa to do really well. And I agree with you. Watkins at home to Liverpool is probably a better fixture for him than Ipswich at home, simply because Liverpool are going to try and win the game, isn't it? And Watkins is one of the best, probably channel runners and high line runners in the Premier League. The amount of times he's caught us out as Arsenal with the high line in the last 3 seasons it's pretty amazing. It's not just luck and because we're being petulant. It's obviously pure skill to time your runs, isn't it? So I do actually think he'll get a return against Liverpool, funnily enough.
I'm going to counter everything me and you have just said by saying actually this season Aston Villa have been pretty pants in the big games. in the Champions League, incredible. But in the Premier League, not that they've lost to you lot 2-0. They lost to Liverpool 2-0. They lost to Chelsea 3-0. They lost to Newcastle 3-0. This season with Aston Villa, it's pretty much every time they seem to win a match or get a positive result, it's followed up by a loss. Here, the last few fixtures is win, draw, loss, draw, win, loss, win, draw. Now they're up against Liverpool. Based on history, it's probably going to be a loss to Liverpool. But I think they should be definitely 100% be beating the likes of Chelsea, who... Did you watch the game last night? Or catch any of it?
Yeah, I caught the highlights, Steve-O. Up to the goal, I felt like it was pretty even in a way, and Chelsea created some opportunities. But that Matoma goal, first of all, what an unbelievable goal. Like, the first touch was just outstanding. And then he took his goal brilliantly. And then after that, I just didn't think like Chelsea were going to get back into the game, Steve-O. It's a poor team. They're a poor team. They got superb individuals everywhere, but Palmer, it just feels like it all rests on Palmer all the time. And if Palmer isn't, if he's getting kind of marked out the game, he's knackered because he's playing every single minute as well. Is that when teams kind of negate him per se, I feel Chelsea really struggled to come up with any inspiration, and they're pretty well beaten. But Brighton do that, isn't it? Is that when Brighton are on, they beat anyone, actually. They've got so much speed and verve and quality possession football that I was not surprised. I predicted Brighton to win as well, Steve. I wasn't surprised at all.
I've just seen in the chat from an individual there saying that Visser actually had 2 disallowed goals. This almost feels like, we made the right decision by not playing Visser. Unfortunately, the outcome is crap because the fact that Ahmad has got injured. It's just so, I'll be honest, it's just so fucking frustrating, Ray, when you've got that tiny differential, because I've seen quite a few people on X, or even because I was listening into Andy Let's Talk FPL while I was just looking for job vacancies at work, and all I could hear was the same old question, which is, shall I get in Visser? Shall I bring in Visser? Shall I bring in Visser? And I'm thinking, Christ almighty, me and Ray, we're benching Visser, and yet Andy is telling people that are asking the question, shall I bring in Visser? He's just basically saying yes, and I'm thinking, oh God, what have we done? Then it comes to today. Find out now he's had 2 goals disallowed. All right, okay. Well, we'll have hope on Ahmad. Oh, wait a minute. He's now injured out for the bloody season. It's just criminal. That's tomorrow's afternoon game as well, isn't it? Tottenham versus Man. That was the only bloody thing I wanted to watch. Ahmad, and now, well, yeah, absolutely bloody hopeless, Ray.
Yeah, I mean, I can just imagine some dodgy fucking Beto points as the first sub for Ahmad, isn't it? Or some, I haven't bothered to take out Smith Rowe yet, you know what I mean? And they just get some dodgy points off that bullshit. Yeah, it's just that season, it's just that season. I think since kind of, doing your team together and everything like that, I've never looked at it and thought, even if we disagree that, oh yeah, it's a bad team or it's not working out, there's always been a plan in place. But I'm sure there are others, obviously a lot in this chat, who are just thinking, yeah, I can relate to that as well. The chips just aren't falling into place. I still think there's going to be a week where we get an absolutely humongous score where everything just works out. But, we want to do that whilst we're trying to attack a rank of some sort. Does that make sense? Or catch up with the mini leagues and stuff like that. I'm just wondering at what point will that be?
and I'm thinking now the only, I don't want to make a move, but Ray, we're having the conversation here. Is this Dango Quattara Dango Quattara of Bournemouth in for Ahmad? They got Wolves next.
Mm-hmm.
Next fixture they got Wolves. He's going to go up in price. We know this much. Bournemouth fixtures are legitimately beautiful.
Amazing. Yeah.
What are you thinking on that, Ray? Just like a knee-jerk transfer reaction? Because we didn't want to do any bloody transfers, but it almost feels like we're being almost forced into this. Plus, we got a playing player in Gameweek 29 as well, in Quattara. We are home to Wolves, then it's Brighton, Tottenham. I mean, that does not put any... Bournemouth are incredible at the moment. Then it's Brentford, then it's Ipswich. Seems to me like a no-brainer, to be completely frank with you, Ray.
Yeah, but, when I was kind of planning on what to say during the stream, a couple of things I want to mention. One was, okay, we've got Rodgers for the double. Let's take him out. Let's bring in Kluivert. That was my thinking, because I'm like, the fixtures are brilliant. In Telegraph, I brought in Kluivert as well. He got an assist today, so I was very happy. But now that Ahmad is out, he's just someone we got to deal with as soon as possible, and we can't afford Kluivert. So Ouattara Dango is really playing very well, Steve. He's getting in some superb positions, at times the most advanced forward. And he and Semenyo seem to dovetail really, really well, Steve. So I'm thinking, because we can't afford Semenyo, we can't afford Kluivert, is that I think Dango's a great shout. I think he'll play every game. I can't see why he wouldn't play every single game, because he's playing absolutely phenomenally at the moment. Legitimately really well. Potentially their best attacker at the moment with Semenyo, in regards to just what I'm seeing with the eye test. Because I watched the game. I watched the Bournemouth game because obviously I had, I wanted to watch Kluivert and everything. He looked very dangerous. He was pulling strings together. Got an assist, but, he just passed it. And Christie did the rest of the work with a fantastic goal. But yeah, why not just bring in Dango? I agree with you. His value is going to go up massively, and Ahmad is going to go down. So, I'm always against early transfers. But if you say to me, Ray, I think I'm going to make it, I'll be like, yeah, because they'll probably be the same price in a couple of days.
I think Mr. Scruffy Wins a Lot is listening into, I think he's got access to mine and yours WhatsApp voice messages, because he says here, with the amount of tools and content creators out there, it's so easy for anybody to build a good team, whether you have a good season or a bad one. This season seems to be more down to luck than ever before. And you know what? I do actually agree with that statement, because by pure coincidence, I was messaging Ray about content creators, and I was just making the very simple point that it doesn't matter who whatever you think of these particular individuals, these top end marketed ones, they spend a lot of their time on, and I mean a lot of their time on this game. So whatever I spend doing the bins at work, these people are spending on FPL, and they know every little minuscule detail imaginable when it comes to giving advice to the everyday individual who's playing this game. So then when they watch a 15 to 20 minute video of X person talking about what players to bring in, that individual is going to go, well, they've got, and I know this for a fact because Dan is part of a fantasy football WhatsApp group, and I'm not going to name who the content creator was, but they said, but they've got 50,000 followers. They must know what they're talking about. And I know who they were, obviously me and Ray know who we're talking about. And I actually looked at this particular person's video, and it was just the same thing that everybody else, including you, Ray, including me, say. And I think, like Scruffy wins a lot makes a point, I think, and I do agree that this season really is. I mean, you think about Chris Wood today. By all accounts, Nottingham Forest had one shot on goal. They probably had a bit more, but point being is that he scores one goal and he gets 3 bonus points in a 2-1 loss.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Yeah, I agree. They were very poor today, especially in that first half. And that's when they got their equaliser, Steve-O. But Fulham, I wish I predicted Fulham to win, because I initially had that, and I thought, oh, Nottingham Forest away, they'll be defensively, astute, and But no, Fulham were creating opportunities, and I agree with you. Wood got the goal. Again, selfishly, I'm delighted for my team in Telegraph, but when we're looking at FPL, I'm like, you played shit, mate. You got a goal, and you've got 3 bonus points. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's very frustrating, and I'm liking that Dango move, Ray. In fact, I'm thinking I may just do it tonight. Or maybe he's not going to go up in price tonight, so maybe I'll just get through today and go into tomorrow, continue looking at live FPLs, price changing, and I think that from that point of view, keep an eye on it when Ahmad's going to be falling and Quatara's going up in price, and I think at this point it's just bring him in, because like me and you both agree, by game week 30 we're probably going to wildcard into looking at the Crystal Palace Newcastle doublet, because I did mention last night I'm looking at probably getting in Mateta and Isaac for that double, Ray.
Yeah, absolutely. Mateta, Isaac, you can get Gordon in there, because in 33 there's a high likelihood there'll be a double as well, Steve-O, in 33. Because I think in 33 that's when we've got the FA Cup quarterfinals.
Yeah. So...
And by then we'll know anyway. We'll know who's in the quarterfinals, and we'll know who'll be doubling. So, yeah, I mean, again, so I keep saying it, but I've got 2 Newcastle assets, I've got 2 Palace assets in my Telegraph team. I think they're well set up moving forward. Crystal Palace should have won today. They probably should have scored 3 or 4 goals. Actually, they were very wasteful. Hit the woodwork twice. Everton, well, they pushed at 1-1 in the second half. They looked actually more likely to score. They did, unfortunately, but yeah, 100%. But actually, with what Scuffy said, it's actually a really good point, is that everyone is thinking the same thing, isn't it? So it's just, our teams are all like 80 to 85% similar, the engaged managers, but it's just that 10-15%, isn't it? Some have kept Wood. He got fucking hat-trick last week, We've gone with Gakpo. We've got Rodgers in, obviously looking at the doubles. These guys haven't hauled, so... Yeah, it's just, I don't want to use cliched lines, so I won't, but it's basically just that 15% at the moment, isn't it? It's not turning our way, but I think Scuffy made a great point.
Yeah, and looking at the fixtures here, as we both agree, we're going to hold on to Palmer for the next 3, specifically game week 27 and 28 with Southampton and Leicester at home, and then it's just get him gone.
Yep.
Just get him gone. Unless they play in... No, they'll be in the blank game week, won't they?
Yeah, they got us away.
Yeah, so I think that may be a case of, all right then, maybe keep him because he's a blank game week player. I don't, depending on how game week 29 goes, that may be the possibility of using the free hit potentially. at that point. We've both agreed as well that going forward, we may be even looking at potentially looking at a front line of Isaac, Mateta, and Cunha, potentially by game week 30 in that wildcard 30-31 era, because we're not going to be having any Chelsea assets. Liverpool you can't ignore. You just keep, well, specifically Salah. You got to keep Gakpo, clear off. Trent Alexander-Arnold, nah. Let's see how he gets on over the next few fixtures. But to be honest with you, the injury and the fact he may not play tomorrow, it's a bit concerning. And Liverpool are fighting on all three fronts now. So I think that certainly Trent could be also another player that we could be looking at to get rid of. So that's going to free up a lot of funds. And we could be, like you quite rightly stated, attacking Newcastle, attacking Man City, because you were sending me a few voice messages about about this Man City player called Mamouche, who I've never heard before, but you did mention him in a voice message to me the other day, didn't you?
Yeah, so, funnily enough, a wildcard 29 could still be something we look at, actually, because wildcarding earlier than when it's popular sometimes does work out brilliantly, which has for me in FPL in the past, where I wildcarded, especially the second wildcard, where I wildcarded a couple of weeks earlier than everyone else, got those players in, and it's worked out really well for me. But Omar Marmoush is a player that I really rated. I really wanted us to buy him from Frankfurt, actually. And when I was looking at the wildcard 29, and I was sending you drafts and conversing with you about it, I agreed with Wood and Isak at the time, obviously, before we knew these doubles, but let's say Mateta and Isak. And rather than Cunha, I was mentioning Marmoush to you, wasn't I? Quite a lot, actually. I think I even sent you a draft. And I said the reason I like him as well is because I would have played him against Real Madrid, Steve, because one thing Real Madrid lack in central midfield, I believe, is pace. They've never really had outward pace in that midfield. And when he played today, he was absolutely brilliant, because off the ball, 4-4-2, he was kind of pressing or helping out Haaland. Then on the ball, he was picking it up from quite deep and making brilliant late runs, a la Lampard and stuff like that, and took his hat-trick brilliantly. I think in that game week 29, if we don't use a chip, they're at home to Brighton, and then they have all those awesome fixtures. That's when I was saying to you about Foden we can look at. But if we don't look at Foden, we can definitely look at Marmoush. We can even look at Savinho, because I think Man City are just going to be the team to target. Their fixtures from 29 onwards, I think, are brilliant. And I've been saying that the whole time. And if they play the way they did today, with having Marmoush in there, I love KDB. I mean, what I think about KDB, possibly the best central midfielder in Premier League history. He is washed, he is shot. And so this is the perfect time to have someone like Marmoush, because Marmoush is just being like Alvarez, Steve-O, but with more pace. So I think he will be a first teamer, if not already, in the Premier League. And yeah, I think it's a risk worth taking if we're going to have a risk, because I always look at Marmoush as 70% plus to start every game. And I think if I look at his value as well, I'll do it quickly, is 7 million for Man City asset. I think it's a great shout.
Talking of Phil Foden, I'll bring up Jason's team here. I mean, well, did you just remind the audience what you said about Jason's team? If he paid you that 50p of our Patreon money to take over his team, what did you say again? Remind us. I could play the voice message if you want. I'll be more than happy to. I mean,
I basically said that, if he hired me and stuff like that, I had a look at his team and then I switched it off.
Yeah, it is. I mean, 4 goals and Phil Foden gets nothing. I think that is outrageous. You then have this is Jason's team. So we got Henderson 2 points, Hall 0, Michael Keane 0. But don't worry, that that Ben Johnson or whatever his bloody name is, it is Ben Johnson, who never starts for Ipswich. Yep, he played, but it doesn't matter because Kirk has got the same points. So he's got 2 points coming off the bench, just like we have. Surprise, surprise. He's got 8 points for David Moyes. Phil Foden 3, and Burmo 3, Palmer 2, Isaac 2, Chris Wood 9. You know, he's got that reprieve from Chris Wood, but yeah, Jason's team is just an absolute mess. Obviously, he's got problems with, like us, Ahmad, Fabianski, but he's never going to play Fabianski. Like, this bench is just shocking. When you consider, Ray, our bench, which consists of Robinson, Visser, and someone else who I've completely forgotten about. It really does put in perspective the kind of Greaves. Yeah, you got 1 point today. It really does put in perspective kind of like the state of Jason's team at the moment.
Yeah, it does. I mean, when he wildcarded, I remember you said you don't need to wildcard, like your team's fine. But he wildcarded. But when he wildcarded to a team.
Hold a minute.
Everyone kind of has.
Hold a minute. He's used his second wildcard.
Yeah, he used it a few weeks ago, and he basically built the same team as ours.
Did he?
So he's got the bench boost, the free hit, and the triple captain left.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Oh dear. My goodness.
Oh I did not realise that. Oh Christ. This is it. We can just... I know I keep stating the same line. We're just continuing doing what we need to do. Like I say, I think we've got that. Wait until tomorrow's games. And then we've just booked that transfer in for Dango in next week. And then at that point, we can play him, of course, at home to Wolves. And I'm deliberately going to be benching Gakpo against Man City. I don't really normally like doing that. In fact, it may even be Rodgers at home to Aston Villa. It's not
Chelsea,
such a bad... Chelsea, sorry, yeah. It's not a too bad a headache to have, to be honest with you. Although then again, it could be again Visser away at Leicester, but I'm assuming that would just be almost suicide. I'm guessing to be benching Visser against one of the poorer teams of the league, Ray.
I think so, Steve-O. When I did a bus team, I benched Gakpo a little bit uncomfortably, but you know, I do like. Actually, no. What am I talking about? Yeah, but I initially benched Ahmad actually away to Everton because I think it's going to be such a tough fixture. But obviously, with Ouattara playing at home to Wolves, no way going to bench him. I actually benched Gakpo, a bit like yourself. He would be now anyway, especially when we bring in Dango. So I like Rodgers at home to Chelsea, Steve. I think it's a good fixture because I expect Villa to beat Chelsea comfortably. Actually, I'm actually going with a 3-1.
I want to hear, Ray.
3-1.
Ironically, the Metro got the... So I'm probably doing okay in Super Brew because the Metro correctly predicted Arsenal, correctly predicted Bournemouth result. So those two at least I got bang on. So that's 6 points in the thing. And make sure you are, if you are brand new around here, hit the subscribe button and the like button. It'd be nice to get more than one subscriber in 28 days. That'd be fantastic. Now, a question for you, Ray, and I do want you to answer this honestly, open and honestly. We're not going to hold back here. Sorry, Ray, Matty is saying here. I don't quite understand you. You say you don't play FPL no more, but yet you do play FPL. But only Telegraph. That's still fantasy football. How do you respond to that?
I don't know. How do I respond to that? I mean, Telegraph is a completely different game, Matt. Like, you only get 40 transfers a season, my man. So you can't really be sitting there planning strategically for too long. It's just because, everything's changing. The FA Cup's included as well. But when it comes to FPL, I'm basically just helping out Stevo, and I will spend in total maybe 30 minutes a week. And most of the time it's just bouncing along with Stevo as well. And it's Matty. It's Ray with an E, my man. So yeah, that's all I can really answer. However, for more details as to why I didn't play, look at my pinned on the YouTube, or look at Gary's FPL Have a Beer, where I had an interview with him, because yeah, I'm not over indulging myself in Telegraph content because there isn't any, and I literally watch no FPL content either.
What did you say to me the other day when you said about it was words to the effect of you're just not missing FPL? Did you just expand on that?
Yeah, I don't, because simply it's, will Gakpo play? Won't he play? Will Watkins play? Won't he play? You know, in the past, I'll be looking for leaks. I'll be looking for any kind of sources that will give me a kind of sway, and obviously the content creators as well, the major ones who seem to get 1 or 2 leaks or here or there. The great thing about Telegraph, it's up to kickoff, Stevo. I don't have to stress about this stuff. I don't have to sit around and discuss with other people if or will they, won't they play kind of stuff, you know. There was something before the game that Gabriel may have hurt himself in training. I was like, okay, well, if he hurt himself in training, I can change him 10 minutes before the game, you know. So I don't find there's a mental stress for me whatsoever now, which is why I'm doing well in Telegraph this season. You know, I'm in the top 500 now. So, you know, ultimately it's just a game that really doesn't take too much of my time at all, which is the best thing. It really is. And, you know, to go over ground that I did before, but, you know, you kind of pressed it, is I would probably consume on or off, directly, indirectly, you know, in a background noise or something like that, 2 hours a day on FPL minimum, every single day. And then on deadline day, it's insane, like 4 or 5 hours. In Telegraph, Steve, I spend no more than probably 10 minutes a day on average. And if we include your team as well, we could probably average 12 minutes a day I spend on fantasy football, which would be my team and our team.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It goes back to a point about what I was saying earlier in a roundabout way, that when you listen into, well, what Scruffy was saying, when you listen into large content creators, it's their job. So you take me as a bin man. You'd expect me to know within reason that I'm pretty much an expert when it comes to getting rid of waste. If you came to me and I looked at you and was just like, I really don't know what order you should be doing the bins in, or I really don't know how to be operating this machinery, at that point it's, well, then you clearly don't know what you're doing. Ray, you're a project manager. You clearly know the ins and outs of, in fact, tell us, what do you have to do within reason? Just an overview of what your job is within reason.
Yeah, so you could almost look at a project as a piece of work that needs to be done, which will normally involve, let's say, 5 or 6 people. And my role really is to just make sure that everyone is doing their tasks accordingly with accountability, and just have reference points and use the software that I've downloaded, and, well, not downloaded, but the software that I have, and just make sure that, you know, we're all kind of singing from the same hymn sheet, Steve-O. The skill in it is nothing academic, you know, it's nothing in regards to, right, I know more than you, Steve-O, because I can come up with these ridiculously stupid words that have absolutely no need in the world, but it applies to project management. No, it's just, you know, I have common sense, I communicate, I manage, and then, of course, I just make sure things are done in the right way with support, so that when that piece of work ends, let's say we're renovating a house, Steve-O, we have reference points of, okay, were the doors done? Yes. Okay. Was the plastering done? Yes. Okay. Were the nooks and crannies done? Yes. And yeah, but I think that's the most simplistic way of explaining it. Hope I was clear.
And how many hours do you reckon you work per day as a project manager, give or take? 8, 9, 10?
Yeah, I'd say minimum 7, but then sometimes, you know, we got I've got clients who are abroad as well, so I kind of work on their time zones as well. But the difference is, Steve, with my experience, fortunately, it's kind of like this is the time I'm really available. So of course, email me and everything like that, and then I'll look at it in those time constraints. But obviously, when I was a young whippersnapper and stuff like that, it's kind of like, yeah, ring me anytime. My service level is 24/7. But now it's like, nah, mate, wife and kids.
Yeah, exactly. Family comes. So yeah, and it's the same for me. At my work, I'm there 8 hours a day. So linking it into FPL content creators that do it as a job, they're spending the equivalent time purely on FPL, and it's all condensed into a 20-minute video or an hour and a half long podcast, whatever. And you'd like to think that the advice that these particular individuals are giving you is good enough for, like I keep stating, a casual person to go, oh, is it a double game week 25? Is it who are the best options? Watkins, Rodgers of Aston Villa, and if you've got your assistant manager chip, maybe, all right, okay. It's pretty basic stuff. And hence why, with what Ray's saying, we spend on average in a week, let's just say we spend in a week a total of an hour. 1 hour in, how many hours are there in 7 days, Ray? Do you know? 7 times 24. Can you do the maths quickly here, or do I need the calculator, Ray?
Yeah.
Come on, you're a project manager. Come on.
100 and...
Go on.
180? 180?
No, you're 12 hours. 168. It's 168. So 1 hour of 168 hours a week, whereas these people, are doing whatever it fucking is. So anyway, back to today's games where... what is there to really talk? I think the shock... we'll let you speak about Arsenal in a second, but shock result being Aston Villa drawing with Ipswich, I think that is pretty damning, considering that Aston Villa really should be one of those teams that are challenging for the top 4 spaces, or at least getting into Europe, whereas it stands right this second, Bournemouth are there. Other than that, we all expected West Ham to struggle against Brentford. Maybe not lose, but struggle, and it ends up being... it's surprising that it ended to a clean sheet, but Brentford do seem to do this away from home. Bournemouth winning 3-1. Man City beating Newcastle pretty comprehensively. By all accounts, Ray, it was more the fact that Kieran Trippier was just allowing this Manouche to just do whatever he wanted. Is that right?
Yeah, Trippier starting was, he plays against Arsenal and they're playing a 3-5 or 3-6-1 almost formation. It's obviously
pathetic.
It's kind of like, yeah, okay, well, you kind of have protection there. They're playing 4-4-2 with Trippier. I thought it was an absolutely terrible call, and it just further emphasised I was confident Man City were going to win. But I was just interested to see what their energy levels were. So I predicted a 2-1, I believe, for Man City, but not playing Livramento was just awful. Trippier should not be starting games anymore, in my opinion, unless you're going to play 3 at the back. And they didn't do that. They played a 4-3-3 with Trippier, and then I was highly confident that they'd win. But obviously, also what was happening is what Man City are doing really well now, Steve, from a tactical point of view, is that Duff Taney really well on their left side. Is that you'll see Foden there, then you'll see Marmoush there, then you'll even see Haaland there. And when Haaland just makes the channel runs into that area, specifically the left, Marmoush is then actually going through the middle. So it's so hard for Newcastle or any team to track what Man City are going to be doing offensively. And because Newcastle overall, I'd like to say, they put their defence first in their approach, Man City knew they were going to get a lot of the ball, Sivo. So Man City's performance today was so impressive because it was a tough game against Real Madrid. They defended very poorly, in my opinion, in that game. And they came in today, made quite a few changes, and they were excellent today. This might be the best Man City performance I've seen since Rodri's been injured. Genuinely, I thought they were fantastic today. I thought they played really, really, really well against a top side, because I do believe Newcastle are a top side with top players. And a lot of that is because they got Marmoush in there who's creating havoc. Yeah. And also Savino is fantastic. I think he's in their first team now, Stevo. Really good player.
Yeah, obviously Jason was banging on about him a few weeks ago, but he decided to go with Foden. And of course, if Newcastle had won today, they'd ironically be on the same points as what Man City are on now. Instead, Man City are now up there in 4th, and they're 3 points behind Nottingham Forest, who of course lost today at Fulham. Shock result there, or actually almost expected, possibly?
Yeah, I never thought Forest were going to win this game, Steve-O. Initially, I went with a Fulham victory, but because of, like I said, start the stream, that Nottingham Forest, I think they're going to approach the game the right way. I think the counter-attack is perfect against a team like Fulham, but they just played poorly. I don't think this was what happened when they lost 5-0, or something like that. I don't think this is like this is a kick up the arse they needed. No, it's just they played a good Fulham side who are in 8th place, who have an outside shot of getting into Europe. And in my opinion, it was a well beaten 2-1, if that makes sense, Steve. 2-1 was it could have been 3-1, it could have been 2-0, it could have been 3-0. I thought more credit to Fulham rather than Nottingham Forest's shortcomings in the game.
Let's get on with it. Let's get on with Arsenal winning 2-0 thanks to goals from an unorthodox striker in Marino, apparently, and this Wanyeri getting an assist, getting man of the match. Incredibly, on whoscored.com, we got a 9.7, which I very, very rarely see a player getting such a high scoring rating on whoscored.com. With a 9.7 when they've only got an assist. It clearly tells me that he had a phenomenal game today. Obviously, you were at work, weren't you? But how are you keeping up to date with this particular? Were you just at the checkout staring at your phone? Or?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, actually. I was at the checkout staring at my phone. So for those who don't know, and I'm very open and kind of proud to say it, is that because my project work has kind of gone down to about 3-4 days a week, I need other work. So during Christmas time, they had a temp position at Clinton Cards. And then I went for it and I worked 1 day a week, 1.5 days a week at Clinton's. So I always make the joke to Steve-O, it's kind of like, project planning and project board on a Monday, and on a Tuesday, have you seen our 3 for 2 Yankee candle deal? I was at the tills the whole day, or the 4 hours, I literally had the game on my phone muted.
Okay, right. Fair enough. Okay.
And
with that quiet then.
Yeah.
The lull after Valentine's Day, after giving away candles. You got just of interest, actually. It's not off topic because we're actually talking about it. Do you have much stock left of Valentine's Day stuff today?
Yeah, Steve, to be honest with you, it's nowhere near as busy as I would have assumed.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere near. It's just, apparently the big times are Christmas and Mother's Day. That's what I've been told. Those are the days. So yeah, it was just like a normal Saturday, just really quiet and stuff like that. So I had the game on in an area muted, but I couldn't really completely focus on that. But prior to that, so here's the funny thing, is that the lineup I wanted did not include Sterling Sivo. I kept Trossard on the left. I put Erdegaard on the right, and I put Waneri as kind of like a false 9. And I did have Marino in what team I would have wanted, but it would have been in midfield, like as a box to box kind of, get in those late areas, because he does actually attack the box really, really well. So when I saw Sterling, I was just like, look, I think we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. Sterling is a 30-year-old, but his body's like 36. The guy's been playing at the highest level since being 16 when he broke into the team with Suarez and Sturridge. When Liverpool should have won the league that year, the Gerrard slip. But it was more than just the Gerrard slip. They had like an 8-point lead with like 8 games to go.
Oh, actually, is that the year when they drew? Because I saw this on the Premier League highlight YouTube video regarding when they drew. Was it 3-3 with Crystal Palace?
Yeah, they were 3-0 up at half time.
Yeah,
and it was 3-3.
Didn't Gerrard come out, I don't know, years later, or if not months later, and said that we shouldn't have attacked as much as what we should have done. Is that correct?
Yeah, because they were chasing goal difference against Man City. Man City's
Right.
goal difference was absolutely superior to them. So they lost to Chelsea. And it was a game they could have drawn, Steve-O, because they would have been a point above Man City at that point, if they just calmed down. But
And
Brendan Rodgers was so exciting at that time. Go ahead.
And what season? What season was it?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. 20, probably 16, 17. He's 30 now. So 13 years ago. I want to say something like 2014, 2015.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Something like that. But anyway, so Sterling playing now. Look, lots of effort, Steve-O. He's not standing around just idling, just pissing around. Arteta won't allow that. He actually does work hard. He's trying to put on a shift, but he just doesn't have it anymore. He doesn't physically have it anymore. And technically, he just doesn't fit into this team. So what was happening is that our inspiration was all coming from Nwaneri, Steve-O.
Yeah.
So basically, he played Sterling on the left. He played Trossard as striker, which I hate. With the way we play football now, Trossard's a terrible striker. And it was all coming down that right side. Ødegaard's just not looking right, but what else can we do? Everyone's fucking injured at the moment. Defensively, I thought we were comfortable enough. And in the second half, I'll be honest with you, Steve-O, until Marino came on, Leicester could have also scored. We were just not. It was tough to watch because for the second half I watched it at home, and the moment Marino came on, I was like, okay, this is really interesting. What we're going to do, because his style, his physical kind of attributes aren't too dissimilar from Havertz. He played up front, Steve-O, and I gotta say, his understanding of the positioning he needed to take as that kind of target man was actually really impressive. Took his goal brilliantly. Nwaneri's stand-up cross was phenomenal. It was kind of like cutting from the left quickly, dink it. A very popular cross in football now, isn't it? That dink cross rather than whipping it in. Headed it in brilliantly. But I think what I was more impressed with the second goal, because Trossard broke on the left. He was on the side that he loves to play. And I think that almost buoyed Trossard, Steve-O, because the moment he went onto the left, he started driving at his fullback a lot more. He just whipped the ball in, and Marino took it really, really, really well. And I was absolutely delighted. And, I was posting all kind of random shit as I do of our new number 9 motherfuckers, all that kind of stuff. But I honestly feel for our system, Marino should play up front, Steve-O. He just has to, because we play football that caters to a target man where, kind of the likes of Nwaneri and Trossard or Saka and Martinelli, they run off that target man, like Havertz, for example, because our football does become a lot more direct when we start to have someone of some kind of height and build up there. So I think Marino can be very effective, Steve-O. So hilariously, I was looking at him for FPL. I was like, no, don't do that, Ray.
You were slagging off Sterling. So here's a question for you. So Sterling got one of the worst player ratings on whoscored.com in this match. Who were the other two players? So he got 6.0. Who were the other two players that either matched his rating or got less than his rating? So two other players in this particular fixture. No, I'll give you a clue. It's both from Leicester.
Okay.
Which two Leicester players got one got a 5.9 and the other one got the same in a 6.0. Can we guess it in one go? I doubt you will do, but I'll give you another. Say it again.
Were any of them subs?
If I was to say that, you're probably going to get it. So
okay, don't tell me. So I don't know who even fucking came on for them.
Well, one of them, okay, I'll give you another clue. One of them's a loanee who started the season very, very well, but underneath Van Nistelrooy.
MATCHDAY?
Nope, he got a 6.2.
Oh, God.
So that's one of the 4 substitutes Leicester made. Can you name the other? In fact, it'd be easier just saying who were the 4 substitutes for that.
I don't know. But Buonanotte, did he come on?
Yes, spot on, yeah. Buonanotte, yeah.
And the other one, maybe a playing player, Vardy, he was pretty shit.
No, they were both subs. I'll give you the answer. It was Daka. So Daka got a 5.9. The point being is that, Sterling started the match and he got a 6.0. Now, he was taken off in the 69th minute. I mean, that's quite... What's with the... I'm just looking at it here. What's with the late... I can't express the similarities between us, Burnley that is, and Arsenal. It's this stubborn attitude of just, rather than let's change up the game by the 60th minute, if we still see things aren't going our way, let's just get on with substitutes. But it took till the 69th minute to bring on Marino. And he brings on Jorginho in the 75th minute for Partey, where you're still not even scored a goal yet. And he brings on for Skelly, Calafiore. And then eventually you get the goal in the 81st minute. What seems to be this stubbornness with Arteta? Is it just the lack of options? Why did it take so long to take Sterling off?
This is something Arteta really has to work on because, I was telling you about Ahmad, Steve-O. Arteta's almost become the master of burning players to the ground. Like last season.
Will Saka's out for a further 8 weeks, isn't he? Is that correct? There
you go. So he, all these injuries in hamstrings and knees and all this kind of stuff is because he's so shit at rotating. Now, you can't just rotate like Jorginho hasn't played in a month, we're now going to bring him in. Does that make sense? And Arteta's so bad at doing that, Steve-O. He's so bad at it. Is that it's forceful changes. Sterling looks like a fucking deer in the headlights because he hasn't been transitioned in. We're 3-0 up. Put him on for 20 minutes. Does that make sense? Like give these guys a minute. So he doesn't do that. Stop playing Havertz when the game's done, for example, or Saka. But he's such a system player. He's so anal with his system. And also the fact that every single player works, Steve-O. Look at Liverpool. Salah doesn't need to work defensively. You walk around, you're the killer. Haaland doesn't need to come back defensively. You're the killer. Just stay up, conserve your energy. The likes of Saka, the likes of Havertz, these guys are just being asked to run kilometers every single game that they get destroyed. So therefore, quite frankly, is that he doesn't trust these players. I'm sorry, he just doesn't. To be honest with you, our transfers have been a flop. Calafiori, Marino and Sterling are not in our best 11 when everyone's fit. And we spent 80 million or 90 million this season. So the point I'm trying to make is he waited almost to a point where it's like, oh my God, I really need to I need to switch this up, which is very rare for him unless we're losing. And therefore, I could understand why he brought on Jorginho because Partey is so bad at running, as is Jorginho, but he's fresher, Steve-O. And also, I think Calafiori, it was more to overlap, to just get involved in attacking play. And yeah, but it's simply that pure stubbornness. Because I actually look at it, and Mohit, I will answer your question, sorry, my man. But I actually look at it and think that when we approach games, the first thing we think about is don't lose this game, guys. And I think Scott Parker's is the exact same at Burnley. Because I've watched a couple of Burnley games just when it's on the box and I'm like, fuck me, it's Arsenal in claret.
Well, you've got better quality of player, but yeah.
No, but the style.
Yeah. Yeah, it's dreadful. I mean, do you know our result today, Ray?
Was it another 0-0?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're considerably behind now, but 5 points off Sheffield United, isn't it?
No, I this is the issue. We are not going to be going up automatically. In fact, to be completely frank with you, if you were to come to me and say, Steve-O, Burnley are going to get the record for most consecutive clean sheets ever in the history of football. And you're to end up third in the Championship, but you don't go up to the Premier League, I'd bite your hand off. I don't want to go up to the Premier League, Ray. It's shit. Now, obviously, the money's there. I get all that. But fucking hell, I cannot be bothered to go for another season of every single week lose, just loss after loss after loss. It's boring, Ray.
Yeah.
And this championship is, from what I hear on the Beho End podcast, is one of the worst ever. When you consider that, I always use the simple line of the playoffs, where 6th place West Bromwich Albion, they're only, I mean, it sounds a lot, but they're 18 points ahead of 21st, which, yes, that is a lot of points. But from top spot, they are 22 points behind top spot. So they're closer to relegation than they are Sheffield United in first. And Leeds are going to win tomorrow.
Yeah.
They're going to win tomorrow. So they're going to get their points against... Oh, no, it's on Monday. So they're going to get their win against Sunderland. And we are just going to keep trudging along, keeping the clean sheets, never scoring a goal, and we're going to end up in the playoffs. And, I mean, ironically, wouldn't that be ironic, going into the playoff final against Blackburn? And I'd rather them win, which is sacrilege to Burnley fans, I get that. But because I'd rather have Scott Parker have this phenomenal season where we've kept clean sheet after clean sheet after clean sheet, and then next season he's learnt enough to where he goes, we need to get that clinical striker in. Just like you lot, just like with Arsenal. Get that clinical striker in, and once you've done that, we can then go on to dominate the championship. Because what did he have with Fulham and Bournemouth? He had Solanke and he had Mitrovic. We don't have that.
Yeah.
We don't have. We've just got these makeshift, number 10s playing the number 9 role. Now, don't get me wrong. I have a lot of hope for the Edwards. I keep calling him Hugh Edwards. His name isn't Hugh Edwards. I keep forgetting what his blasted name is. He does look like a top end player. He genuinely does. When he's come off the bench, he has looked absolutely phenomenal. Marcus Edwards. He looks stunning. But again, it's 0-0 Ray, and he makes his first 2 substitutes at the 71st minute and doesn't make a... Well, then he makes a substitute for Ashley Barnes to come on. Or for a couple of minutes. It's not good enough. We need to be bringing on, when it's at 0-0, more attacking players at, like, say, the 60th minute. Because we've got the quality. We've got the quality to be able to score. It's just that for whatever reason, Scott Parker doesn't want to be bringing on these particular players. And that's what's stopping us from dominating the championship. And I mean, I always look at Burnley, and they were saying this on the Beho End podcast the other day, and take some of the fixtures where we've had the 0-0s, where in theory, if we had just scored that, let's just say, we should be beating the likes of Stoke. It ended 0-0. The likes of Derby, where it ended 0-0. Oxford, I know for fact we drew 0-0 with them. Preston. So we've played Preston twice this season. Both games have ended 0-0, Ray. It's, without wanting to contradict myself in the sense of not wanting to go up to the Premier League, because I don't. But the fact that we're not top of the championship because of the fact that we just can't score goals is just absolutely outrageous. We should be, I say should be, I reckon in theory, if we'd have turned some of those 0-0s into wins, we'd be comfortably top by about 5 points. Let's just say 5 points ahead. But I reiterate this point. I wish there was an option where it gets to the end of the season and the whoever says, do you want to go up to the Premier League? And you get the option to go, no. Because it's just dreadful, Ray. And whereas with you as an Arsenal fan, I mean, let's get real here. What are your expectations at the start of every season?
To compete and be a threat of winning the league. Like, of course I want it, Steve-O, but, I kind of go into the season thinking, by March time, I want us to be threatening to win one of the top competitions. Yeah. And we've been that the last couple of seasons. But I'm a balanced Arsenal fan. You know, I think, of course, I get emotional during the game, but you know, I look at it and think, you know, to do what we're doing, Arteta has had to build certain areas. You know, he spent money on the defense, the midfield, the goalkeeper. All those areas I'm actually quite comfortable with, and now it's attack. The next process of his process is to get the right attackers, and I do think we'll get like 2 attackers, and I do think they're going to be top end attackers. I do think they're going to be quality that could actually get into our first team, because I think Havertz and Martinelli could be upgraded, and I think Havertz will go into midfield because Arteta absolutely loves him. But something I wanted to also comment on what you just said about Burnley is you don't want that top striker to be, okay, we're in the Premier League now, we're now going to buy a good striker. It doesn't really work like that, because you want him to embed into the team, let alone the quality of the league, isn't it? So I could totally understand that. You're like, look, we've had a fantastic season, we've got the playoffs, we've gone out, but now we have another year that we're together, another year where we're stronger. We've now bought a good attacker, and now we're actually threatening to win the championship rather than just go through the playoff route. So I could totally see where you're coming from. However, where I go against you with that is that if Burnley were to get in the Premier League, I just feel at that point that they'll be so buoyed by the experience of being in the Premier League that I think it would actually put them onto a better level. And I do feel strikers that are in the Premier League at the moment that aren't in their first team, Sivo, could look at Burnley and think, yeah, I mean, here's a team on the up. I'll be the main man here. You know, a Callum Wilson, for example. Just giving you a random example that I think it could buoy them. But I can see where you're coming from, because you've been in the Premier League, 3 or 4 times or something like that? And when you've gone down, it's been kind of down with a whimper. Does that make sense? And you don't want to be embarrassed. Am I making a fair assessment?
No. Yeah, I think you have made a fair assessment. And funny enough, our record in the Championship, it's something like this. So this is just the Championship. So underneath Dyche, Company, and Parker, I think it's something like, I'm just going to make this number up, but it's the equivalent of, it's something like we've played 150 games in the Championship under these managers. We've won something like 120, drawn 15, and only lost whatever the 10 or 15. It's absolutely crazy, Ray. Our record in the Championship, whereas in the Premier League, it's probably the reverse. It's played 150, won only 20 games, drawn 20, and lost 110. Because under Dyche, it was all about building from the back and making sure we don't lose, like he was doing at Everton. Under Company, it was, I better just bring in a whole brand new team, which are a bunch of kids that have got no experience whatsoever, never played with one another, and I'm just going to see if my tactics work. Well, I've got some bad news for you, Vincent. It ain't working. Whereas underneath Parker, he seems to have learnt a lot from his time in, I believe it was in Belgium before he came to us. Then he took some time off before he came to us. Obviously, he's learnt through Fulham and Bournemouth how to get out of the Championship. But this season seems to be now a case of we don't want to concede a goal. In fact, there was a line that they said on the Beho end, which was words to the effect of, it's now got to the point where when we're winning 1-0, don't concede. And if we're thinking that, and it's true, even me as a fan, I'm like, oh God, I don't want us to concede a goal. But what I do want to see, though, is at least us try and get that second or third or fourth. Like that game the other day against... completely, honestly, age destroys you. Who the bloody Hull, when we were playing Hull, we could have been 3, 4, 5-0 up by half time. But once again, our one player that's up front, Fleming, seems to be missing the most simplest of all. He can score wonder strikes, but when it comes to just simple tap-ins, nope, puts it wide, puts it over the bar, puts it into the keeper's hands. And I think, going back to, if we get that clinical striker, we would be absolutely dominating that league. And I think it's very similar, like I said, for Arsenal. Once you get that clinical striker, I don't know, imagine if you did have someone like Duran, for instance. What if you did get Ollie Watkins in the January transfer window? You'd be laughing because you've got enough creativity to give opportunities to these top end strikers. But like you stated, the likes of Havertz or Jesus, they're just not good enough for the quality of player that's behind them because they just cannot hit the back of a barn door.
Yeah, completely agree. And I think also what Scott Parker's doing with Burnley is that it's a bit like when Eddie Howe was at Bournemouth, Steve-O. He's trying to play all this rock and roll football that eventually just, fucked him, didn't it? To a point where he left, and I think he took a year off. And I think a bit like Scott Parker, he just kind of went traveling and spoke to all these great coaches and looked at their training regimes and looked at how they were setting up their teams and stuff like that. That Parker's done that as well with Burnley. So I have more confidence that he'll do well with Burnley if they get promoted, because he is literally setting them up from strong defence, keep it strong, and then we could add the ability there as well. But at the same time, I'm sure you're enjoying seeing Burnley win more games. But I mean,
it's one of those. It's easier to, it's harder to build a strong defence and not lose than it is having a crap defence and having no forward play whatsoever and losing every single week. Finally, Ray, just quickly back to today's stuff /FPL. Look, we've got 41 points as it stands. It's the same players. There's no one. The only differentials for us is the fact that we've got triple ups of Emre, Watkins, Rodgers, and Gakpo, Salah, Trent. I'm not expecting Gakpo to play tomorrow. In fact, we'd be lucky to get 15 minutes out of him tomorrow. I do expect him to play against Aston Villa, and then obviously we're not going to be playing him against Man City. But coming out of today, in fact, we've done all right, actually, ironically, from most. I think we've got, compared to our rivals, we've probably got 10 more points more than most. We seem to be in a decent position. We've kind of come to an agreement that just get rid of Ahmad, bring in this Quattara, done, move on. I think overall, just get this game week out the way, Ray.
Yeah, we've still got a lot to be excited about. We basically got 6 assets, isn't it? Because every counts. So we got 6 assets for the rest of the game week. And in regards to Gakpo and Mohit, we'll answer your question. I'll answer your question now as well. If Gakpo's injured, of course, take him out. Otherwise, I wouldn't, because after Liverpool got Man City, they got Newcastle at home, Southampton at home. They got the blank, then they got Everton at home in game week 30. But let's assume everyone's going to wildcard during 30-31, as Matty rightly said, because we'll know what the FA Cup looks like after 29, is that, Newcastle at home and Southampton at home. Liverpool at home, it doesn't matter who they play. They're just undeniable. They've just got too much attacking power, too much. The atmosphere is unbelievable, what they create over there. And whatever team you are, from peak Chelsea to what Arsenal are now, you go away to at Anfield, they're going to create opportunities. And Gakpo's definitely in the first 11, Mohit. And when I look at the players he could potentially bring in if you wanted to take him out, possibly Aston Villa, but, Fulham, Villa, Ipswich, okay, lots riding on Ipswich. Man City, absolutely not. Newcastle, you probably already have Isak. Yeah, I mean, personally, Steve, I don't know about you, but I'd just keep Gakpo at the moment until 29-30.
Yeah, as I always say about FPL, I do agree with Alf that unless it's an emergency, just leave the players in your team. Just leave them. Ahmad is an emergency right now because we need to get him gone. He's never going to play a single game again this season, and us bringing in Quattara seems like... In fact, I was just doing it just then. Moving forward, if we've got the money, we're 0.1 above it. Ahmad out for Katara, and then in a couple of weeks' time, it could be Rogers out for Cliver, which means that in game week 29, we've got a minimum of 5 for blank game week 29. Admittedly, those 5 are all in the same game with Bournemouth and Brentford playing one another. But I think we'll definitely be playing it by ear. I know, we've got Arsenal, haven't we? Just realised.
Yeah.
And actually, and again, it's all in the same bloody fixture. So if I understand, we've got 8 players for the blank game week as it stands.
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
without making any transfers. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're set up really well for 29, and honestly, by then I think we would have definitely bought at least one Man City asset. And I wouldn't be surprised if we looked at a third Arsenal assets, depending on how the midfielders are doing, isn't it? Trossard, Waneri, Marino. So, yeah, again, well set up to save those chips, isn't it, Steve? Because in 30, 31, all those fixtures, all those and all the chips we have left. I mean, if we look at it for a moment here, second wildcard, bench boost, free hit, triple captain, bloody hell, Steve. There could be a point where we're using them all consecutively together, and it makes sense.
Yeah, triple captaincy. I'm looking at as we speak. Isaac for that double game week against Man United and Crystal Palace. I think, and both at home as well. I think that could be potentially very, very profitable. I think that comes to, and I think as well the fact that, like you say, we've got these chips and whatnot, and we're going to have so much information within the next few game weeks, finding out what's going on regarding the blanks and the doubles coming up. We can then make a definitive plan. Then I think that comes to a natural conclusion of tonight's stream, Ray. We've been speaking for, would you believe, nearly in... Well, yeah, I can't believe it's 9 o'clock. That is absolutely disgusting. I'm not going to ask you for any final thoughts because we've been speaking for a very long time now. All I can say is thank you, Ray, as ever, for joining me, and everybody else that's been watching. Thanks for tuning in live. Of course, if you've enjoyed the stream, make sure you are hitting the like button. If you are brand new around here, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button. Once again, thank you to Alex Volo for creating the thumbnail. If you want to join us on Patreon, you can too. You get additional content at the $4.99 tier. And then if you want to just say thank you for the work that you do, there's a $1.99 tier. If you just want to join for free, you can join for free. Other than that, I can't think of anything else. Oh yeah, if you are watching on the replay, why not write a comment? But yeah, other than that, Ray, should we get out of here?
Absolutely. Cheers, Steve-O, and cheers, everyone. Take care.
See you later.